Welcome to The Explainer, where we break down big ideas from some really compelling sources. All right, let's just jump right in. We're going to start, maybe surprisingly, not with finance, but with a geological mystery. This all comes from Chapter 4 of Morgan Housel's fantastic book, The Psychology of Money. And yeah, I know, an ice age and building wealth, it sounds like a weird connection, but stick with me because it holds a really powerful secret about how things grow. Okay, so let's start with that mystery. For a long time, scientists have been asking themselves, what kind of crazy, colossal force could be powerful enough to literally bury an entire planet under miles and miles of ice? To explain something that massive, scientists naturally figured the cause had to be just as big, like a sudden catastrophic event. That seemed like the only thing that made sense. But the real force behind the ice ages? It's way more subtle, and honestly, way more powerful. Turns out the real cause wasn't some huge, violent event. Nope, it was something really small and consistent. Summers that were just a tiny bit cooler, so that the winter snow, it didn't completely melt. And that little leftover base of snow made it just a bit easier for more snow to stick around the next year, which reflected more sunlight, which made the summers even cooler. You see where this is going, right? It was this slow but incredibly powerful feedback loop that over thousands and thousands of years buried the entire planet. And that right there, that perfectly illustrates the core idea for today. You don't always need this huge, massive force to get incredible results. Sometimes it's the small, sustained growth that leads to outcomes so extraordinary they just seem to defy all logic. That, my friends, is the power of compounding.
All right, so let's pivot from ice to money and see how this exact same principle works, using probably the most famous investor of all time as our example.
I mean, we all know Warren Buffett is an amazing investor, right? The guy's name is basically synonymous with financial genius. But here's the kicker. The real source of his absolutely staggering wealth, it isn't just his skill. Just think about that for a second. Almost all of his money, we're talking over 99% of it, was earned after he turned 65. So his real secret, his true magic trick, isn't just being a good investor. It's that he's been a good investor since he was a kid. His superpower isn't just skill, it's time. And if you want to see this in action, just compare Buffett to another investor, Jim Simons. Now, Simons is an absolute genius whose fund generated returns that were 3 times higher than Buffett's. So by that metric, you could say he's a way better investor. And yet, he's 75% less wealthy. So what gives? Well, Simons only really started investing at age 50. He had less than half the time for his money to work its magic. See, Buffett's big advantage wasn't a crazier return. It was a much, much longer runway. So if time is this powerful secret weapon, why do we overlook it so often? Well, the problem, it turns out, is baked right into how our brains are wired. We humans, we tend to think in straight lines. It's super easy to add 8 plus 8 plus 8 in your head, right? Because it's linear. But the explosive, runaway growth of compounding, well, that feels totally unnatural. Our brains just aren't built to intuitively get a handle on exponential math. A perfect real-world example of this is the growth of data storage. For decades, progress was pretty steady, measurable. And then, bam, it just exploded. We went from megabytes to gigabytes, then to terabytes, seemingly in the blink of an eye. The growth went exponential, and it caught pretty much everyone by surprise. And because this kind of growth is so counterintuitive, we often just completely ignore its incredible potential. What do we do instead? We focus all our energy on chasing higher and higher returns, which, let's be honest, is a much harder and way less reliable path to building real wealth. Okay, so if chasing the absolute highest returns isn't the answer, what is? Well, the key is to completely shift your goal. See, good investing isn't about trying to hit home runs all the time. Those are super rare and almost impossible to repeat. It's really about earning pretty good returns you can actually stick with for the longest possible period of time. That's the real game you want to be playing. Housel puts it perfectly. He says the most powerful and important investment book could just be one page. The title? Shut Up and Wait. And on that page, just a long-term chart of economic growth. Because that's the kind of environment where compounding is allowed to just run absolutely wild. Now, understanding all this is one thing, but actually applying it, well, that's a whole different ballgame. So let's wrap this up with a few questions to really help you think about how to put this into practice in your own life. So first up, Are your financial decisions focused on trying to maximize short-term returns, or are they focused on maximizing your time in the market? This one really gets to the heart of it, right? Are you playing the short game, chasing those quick hits, or are you playing the long game and letting time do all the heavy lifting for you? Okay, next question. What is one small, consistent financial habit you can start today that could lead to extraordinary results in, say, 20 or 30 years? I mean, remember that ice age, right? It wasn't one giant blizzard that changed the world. It was countless tiny snowflakes that just lasted. So, what's your financial equivalent of a summer that's just a little bit cooler? And finally, ask yourself this. Do you have the patience to just let your investments grow? Or do you feel that constant itch, that need to tinker and chase the next big thing? Because, and this is so important, sometimes the most powerful financial move you can make is to make no move at all. The real magic isn't in finding the absolute highest return. It's in giving a pretty good return the longest amount of time to work its magic. The secret ingredient, just like it was for Warren Buffett, is simply time.